Welcome to a journey exploring the vital link between nature and human well-being. Ecosystem services are the benefits people receive from nature, such as clean water, food, flood protection, and even spiritual enrichment. Yet these essential services are often overlooked in development decisions. As our world grows and changes, understanding and valuing these services becomes crucial for sustainable progress. This video will guide you through the core concepts, real-world examples, and practical steps for integrating ecosystem services into decision-making. Let's begin by understanding why nature's benefits matter for everyone, everywhere. Human well-being depends utterly on nature. From the food we eat to the water we drink, and even the air we breathe, ecosystems provide countless benefits. However, these connections are often invisible in our daily lives, especially for those living in urban areas. We rarely consider the health of the forests, rivers, or wetlands that supply our needs. Ignoring these links can threaten our ways of living and undermine our aspirations for the future. Recognizing and valuing ecosystem services is the first step toward making better decisions for both people and the planet. Additionally, development and environmental protection have been seen as separate, even conflicting goals. Planners often assume that natural resources, like clean water or fertile soil, will always be available. Conservationists, meanwhile, focus on minimizing harm from development. But the truth is, development and nature are deeply intertwined. Our prosperity depends on healthy ecosystems, and the choices we make today shape the services we'll rely on tomorrow. Bridging this divide is essential for building vibrant, resilient communities. Landmark study, the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, brought global attention to the state of the world's ecosystems. Over 1,300 experts assessed how ecosystems have changed and what that means for human well-being. Their findings were sobering. Two-thirds of the ecosystem services we depend on are degraded or in decline. This threatens not only the environment but also our ability to achieve development goals like poverty reduction, food security, and health. The assessment also highlighted that solutions exist if we act decisively and integrate ecosystem services into our decisions. Ecosystem services are the benefits people obtain from nature. These include provisioning services like food and water, regulating services such as climate and flood control, and cultural services like recreation and spiritual value. Supporting services such as soil formation and nutrient cycling underpin all others. By identifying and valuing these services, decision-makers can better understand the true costs and benefits of development choices. This approach helps reveal trade-offs and ensures that nature's contributions are not taken for granted. Visioning services are the tangible goods we get from ecosystems. Think of the food on your plate, the water you drink, the timber used in construction, and the fibers for clothing. These goods are essential for daily life and economic activity. However, overexploiting these resources can degrade the very systems that produce them. Sustainable management ensures that future generations can continue to benefit from nature's bounty. Regulating services are nature's way of maintaining balance. These include climate regulation, flood control, water purification, and disease regulation. For example, forests absorb carbon dioxide, helping to stabilize the climate, while wetlands filter pollutants from water. When these services are disrupted, the consequences can be severe, ranging from increased flooding to poorer air and water quality. Protecting these natural controls is vital for healthy communities. Ecosystems also provide cultural services, non-material benefits that enrich our lives. These include recreation, spiritual fulfillment, aesthetic enjoyment, and educational opportunities. Parks, rivers, and forests offer places for relaxation, inspiration, and connection to heritage. While harder to measure in dollars, these values are deeply important to individuals and communities. Recognizing cultural services ensures that development respects the full spectrum of human need. Supporting services are the underlying processes that make all other ecosystem services possible. These include soil formation, nutrient cycling, and primary production. Without healthy soils and nutrient flows, crops cannot grow and food chains collapse. While these services may seem invisible, they are the foundation of both natural and human systems. Protecting them is essential for long-term sustainability. Let's look at a real-world example from Southeast Asia. The expansion of shrimp farming has brought profits to some, but at the cost of destroying mangrove forests. While shrimp farms provide income, intact mangroves offer coastline protection, fish spawning grounds, and water filtration, services often ignored in economic analyses. When these non-marketed benefits are considered, preserving mangroves often proves more valuable to communities in the long run. This case highlights the importance of including all ecosystem services in decision-making. The United States, intensive agriculture has often degraded ecosystem services like soil retention and water quality. To address this, the Conservation Reserve Program pays farmers to retire land and adopt conservation practices. The results: improved water quality, increased carbon storage, and healthier soils. This program shows how incentives can align economic interests with ecosystem health, benefiting both farmers and the wider community. Yingqing County in western China once served as a natural barrier against desert expansion. Decades of intensive cultivation and deforestation led to severe ecosystem degradation, water shortages, and desertification. The government has since invested billions in restoration, replanting forests, and relocating residents. This example underscores the high costs of ignoring ecosystem services and the challenges of revering environmental damage. Dharwadi, India, villagers face chronic water shortages and poverty. Through a watershed restoration program, they adopted tree planting, grazing bans, and soil conservation. Within 5 years, agricultural employment increased, land values rose, and the community became more resilient to drought. This success story demonstrates how investing in ecosystem services can directly improve livelihoods and well-being. Across the globe, many ecosystem services are in decline. More land was converted to crops between 1950 and 1980 than in the previous 150 years. Freshwater scarcity affects over 1 billion people, and nearly a quarter of mangroves and 20% of coral reefs have been lost since 1980. These changes threaten food security, health, and protection from natural disasters. Recognizing these trends is essential for making informed decisions about development and conservation. Veering ecosystem degradation is possible, but it requires deliberate action at multiple levels. Entry points include national and local policies, economic incentives, sector-specific strategies, and strong governance. For example, policies can promote sustainable land use, while fiscal incentives can encourage conservation. Effective governance ensures that all voices are heard and that decisions are transparent and accountable. By integrating ecosystem services into these entry points, we can create more resilient and prosperous societies. National and subnational policies play a critical role in managing ecosystem services. Development and planning ministries can incorporate ecosystem considerations into poverty reduction, land use, and water management strategies. Environmental agencies can create protected areas and climate adaptation plans. By aligning policies across sectors, governments can address the cumulative impacts of development and ensure that ecosystem services are sustained for future generations. Economic and fiscal incentives can drive positive change for ecosystems. Subsidies, tax credits, and payments for ecosystem services encourage individuals and businesses to adopt sustainable practices. For example, water pricing regulations can promote conservation, while tax incentives can support renewable energy. Designing effective incentives requires understanding the true value of ecosystem services and aligning economic interests with environmental goals. Sector policies, such as those in agriculture, forestry, and industry, offer opportunities to mainstream ecosystem services. Ministries can promote best management practices, support research and technology transfer, and develop standards that protect nature. Collaboration between environment agencies and other sectors is key to developing tools and analyses that connect ecosystem services with sector goals. This integrated approach leads to more effective and sustainable outcomes. Strong governance underpins the sustainable management of ecosystem services. This includes public participation, access to information, and accountability through elections and judicial review. All branches of government play a role in overseeing how ecosystems are used and managed. Transparent and inclusive governance ensures that decisions reflect the needs and values of all stakeholders, leading to more equitable and lasting solutions. This guide is designed for a wide range of decision makers, from city mayors and local planners to national ministers and international agencies. Whether the goal is poverty reduction, food security, or climate resilience, integrating ecosystem services into decision-making strengthens strategies and outcomes. The guide provides practical steps, real-world examples, and a conceptual framework to help leaders make informed choices that benefit both people and nature. Bring these concepts to life. The guide includes a fictional story about Rio Grande, a city facing ecosystem change. The mayor and secretary of environment must balance economic growth, flood prevention, and clean water, all while considering a new biofuel plant. Their journey illustrates the complex trade-offs and power dynamics that decision-makers encounter worldwide. Through their story, we see how integrating ecosystem services can lead to better outcomes for communities. Rio Grande, recent floods have disrupted the city, raising urgent questions about their causes and how to prevent future disasters. The Secretary of Environment suspects a link between upstream deforestation and increased flooding but struggles to communicate this to the mayor. Meanwhile, new development plans like a biofuel complex are moving forward without fully considering environmental impacts. This scenario highlights the importance of integrating ecosystem knowledge into city planning. Secretary of Environment faces a tough challenge. Her office is often left out of mayor decisions, such as the new biofuel plant. Environmental assessments are conducted after the fact, making it hard to prevent problems. She realizes that to influence outcomes, she must frame ecosystem services as essential to the city's well-being, linking forests, water health, and economic growth. This insight sets the stage for a more integrated approach to city development. Secretary and her team begin to map out the connections between biofuel production, deforestation, flooding, water quality, and community health. They recognize that expanding agriculture for biofuels could worsen floods, degrade water, and harm tourism and fishing. By presenting these links to the mayor, they hope to shift the conversation from isolated projects to a holistic view of the city's future. This systems thinking is key to sustainable decision-making. Millennium Ecosystem Assessment developed a conceptual framework to help decision-makers link development goals with ecosystem services. This framework starts with human well-being, identifies the ecosystem services that support it, and examines the drivers of change, both direct and indirect. By mapping these relationships, leaders can better understand how their choices affect both people and nature, and design more robust strategies. The heart of the framework is human well-being, which includes basic material needs, health, good social relations, security, and freedom of choice. Every development goal, whether it's economic growth, health improvement, or disaster risk reduction, ultimately aims to enhance well-being. Recognizing how ecosystem services contribute to these goals helps ensure that development is both effective and sustainable. Next step is to identify which ecosystem services are most relevant to a particular decision or goal. For example, a city concerned about floods should focus on services like water regulation and forest cover. A rural community might prioritize soil fertility and pollination. By systematically analyzing these dependencies, decision-makers can set priorities and target interventions where they matter most. Once relevant services are identified, it's important to assess their current condition and trends. Are they stable, improving, or declining? What are the main threats? This analysis helps anticipate risks and opportunities, guiding decisions that support both development and ecosystem health. Regular monitoring and data collection are essential for making informed choices. Assigning economic value to ecosystem services can help make their importance visible in policy and investment decisions. While not all services can be easily priced, methods exist to estimate the value of clean water, flood protection, and other benefits. Including these values in cost-benefit analyses ensures that the true costs and benefits of development are considered, leading to better outcomes. Every development decision carries risks and opportunities for ecosystem services. For example, expanding agriculture may boost food production but increase soil erosion and water pollution. By analyzing these trade-offs, decision-makers can design strategies that minimize harm and maximize benefits. This proactive approach helps avoid unintended consequences and supports long-term sustainability. Looking ahead is crucial for effective decision-making. Scenario planning allows leaders to explore different futures based on various assumptions and choices. By imagining plausible alternatives such as increased biofuel production or stricter conservation, decision-makers can anticipate challenges and opportunities. This helps avoid surprises and supports more resilient planning. After assessing risks and exploring scenarios, the next step is to choose policies that sustain ecosystem services. Options include creating protected areas, restoring degraded lands, and adopting sustainable agricultural practices. Policies should be designed to address both immediate needs and long-term goals, ensuring that ecosystem services continue to support development and well-being. Legal frameworks provide the foundation for sustaining ecosystem services. Laws and regulations can protect critical habitats, regulate resource use, and enforce environmental standards. Integrating ecosystem services into legal systems ensures that their value is recognized and protected over time. This creates a stable environment for investment and long-term planning. Sustaining ecosystem services requires flexibility and learning. Policies should be monitored and adjusted based on new information and changing conditions. This adaptive approach allows decision-makers to respond to unexpected challenges and seize new opportunities. Continuous learning ensures that strategies remain effective and relevant. Effective decision-making depends on credible information and legitimate processes. Engaging experts using sound science and ensuring transparency build trust among stakeholders, including diverse perspectives such as local communities and indigenous groups, makes decisions more robust and widely accepted. Credibility and legitimacy are the cornerstones of successful ecosystem management. Building effective participatory processes means involving all relevant stakeholders in decision-making. This includes government agencies, scientists, local communities, and businesses. By creating channels for dialogue and collaboration, decision-makers can harness a wider range of knowledge and values. This leads to more innovative solutions and stronger support for implementation. Ecosystem services operate across multiple spatial and temporal scales, from local watersheds to global climate systems. Bridging these scales requires integrating scientific knowledge with local experience. Long-term joint problem-solving, scenario building, and adaptive management help connect different perspectives and ensure that decisions are grounded in reality. Scientific consensus provides a strong foundation for credible decision-making. Processes like the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change bring together experts to review evidence and reach agreement on key findings. While uncertainty is inevitable, transparent communication about confidence levels and assumptions builds trust and supports informed choices. Legitimacy means that decision-making processes are fair, inclusive, and respectful of diverse values. This involves recognizing different cultures, languages, and knowledge systems. When stakeholders see that their perspectives are valued, they are more likely to support and invest in the outcomes. Building legitimacy is essential for lasting and effective ecosystem management. Integrating ecosystem services into decision-making is both a conceptual and practical challenge. While tools and methods are still evolving, enough is known to begin taking action. Real and fictional case studies provide valuable lessons, and ongoing research will continue to improve our understanding. The key is to start now, using available knowledge to make better choices for people and nature. Decision-makers are encouraged to review how their goals depend on and affect ecosystem services. Using tools like scenario planning and economic valuation, they can strengthen strategies and achieve more sustainable outcomes. Presentations and resources, such as those provided by the World Resources Institute, can help make the case for adopting an ecosystem services approach in various contexts. Turning to Rio Grande, the secretary and her team prepare a presentation for the city's cabinet. They organize their ideas, highlighting the links between biofuel production, deforestation, flooding, and community health. By framing the city as part of a larger system, they hope to influence decisions that will sustain both development and ecosystem services. Their story illustrates the power of informed, integrated planning. Ecosystem services are essential for human well-being and sustainable development. Ignoring them can lead to unintended consequences and undermine progress. By recognizing, valuing, and managing these services, decision-makers can create more resilient, prosperous, and equitable societies. The journey begins with awareness and leads to action. Now is the time to stop treating development and environment as separate issues. By embracing an ecosystem services approach, we can unite nature and development for the benefit of all. Whether you are a policymaker, planner, or concerned citizen, your choices matter. Let's invest in nature for development and build a better future together. Conclusion: investing in ecosystem services is investing in our collective future. Healthy ecosystems provide the foundation for thriving communities, resilient economies, and a livable planet. By making informed, integrated decisions, we can ensure that nature's benefits continue to support generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey to value and sustain the services that nature provides.